Hey everybody, it's Ryan back with another wealth transfer principle that you guys can take away from today and begin using immediately. That's going to bless your life in this season. The wealth transfer is upon us. People are sleeping. People need to wake up and to understand what to do. Okay, so in this video, I want to give you guys a practical strategy that's biblically based that you can begin using right now, and that's measure everything. The Lord calls for us in the Word of God to be good stewards. He lets us know that what we take account for, that if we would be faithful in a little, then we could be a ruler over much. There's many scriptural references to taking an account and taking inventory to things. Jesus talked about, if you're going to build a house, would you not count the cost, right? And so there's a cost associated with everything. Everything that you're doing in your life needs to be measured and tracked. And so one of the things that I like to look at and examine is that whatever area or sector that God has called you to be in, right? Specifically, there's some type of measurement that you can do to see if you're being a faithful and good steward in that particular area, right? And so I'll give you guys a practical example. So one of the things that I've learned in business specifically is that there are certain numbers, there are certain metrics and things that you can measure that are going to tell you what you should do specifically next with your business, with your money, right? And so a practical example of this is this YouTube channel, right? And so right now we're at 7,980 subscribers. And so one of the things that I'm starting to do every single day is track our growth, right? And anytime I've tracked growth in anything, whether it's been my finances, whether it's been something arbitrary like subscribers, anytime you study and look at a thing, you start to measure it and you account for it daily. Every time I've done that and been faithful in it, God has allowed what I tracked and manage to grow. And so the same thing applies with your resources, your physical resources. As you start to track your daily spending every day, then God will see your stewardship, see that you're being accountable to what you're spending, and then He'll be able to increase your budget and you'll have the capacity to spend more. And so one thing that I've learned in measuring things, so like right now, one of the things that I can measure is my subscribers, right? So how many subscribers are we growing by per day, right? So let's just say if it's 20 subscribers per day, right? I can look at the total number of views that we get per day, and I can correlate that to the total number of subscribers that we're getting on a consistent basis. And so if I want to grow the subscriber count, one thing that I can do is look at how can I physically grow the viewer count, right? How many people who are actually viewing the videos per day. Now, one thing that's out of my control is obviously YouTube has a specific algorithm of how they determine what videos get seen, but there is something that's in my control. One thing that I can control is what I create content about, and I can also control specifically how many videos I create every single day. And so one of the things that I'm going to be personally doing even more so in my own growth from my channel, especially if you guys are taking notes, if you guys are trying to grow your YouTube, is that I'm seeing here in the numbers that on average, when I post a short, then I get about 1,500 video views for every short that I post. Sometimes I get more than that. I think one of my biggest shorts has like 18,000 views compared to if I just post a normal long form video. Sometimes right now they're averaging like 200 to 300 views, right? And so I could focus as much of my time making long form content, or I could look at the numbers and see that with the short form videos, maybe I'm getting to the point faster, I don't know, but more people are seeing the short form videos. So my focus over the next 30 days is coming up with a framework to consistently put out multiple short pieces of content per day. The other day I was listening to Gary Vee, who's one of the probably like the wisest people concerning growth on social media. And one of the things he talked about is that people are not putting out enough content every day. He says that, that if you really want to kill it and you really want to grow, if you're in that growth stage, especially if you're doing content creation full time, which technically I am right now, is that you could be putting out up to 50 pieces of content per day. And so now I'm trying to wrap my mind around, how do I go from 3 pieces of content per day to up to 50? And so, like, is that going to kill the relationship between, that I have with you guys if I post more videos, right? So these are all things that you start to balance, but again, you don't really are not able to discern what you need to do if you're not measuring things. And so the first thing that we have to do is start measuring our finances. One of the things that God specifically said to me before is I could see, there was a period in my life where I was excessively eating out. Me and my wife, we just didn't like to cook. We just felt it more convenient, especially because you're working at home. A lot of times you're working on projects. You're so, like involved in the project that you're working. By the time you realize you're hungry, you don't feel like cooking, so you go to get something to eat. And so one of the things that God said to me specifically is you're eating your seed. Eating out every single day, it's expensive. And so one of the things that you have to do is, like, you start to measure your finances. You start to look at where is your money going. And some of you guys, as you start to look and track your expenses on a daily basis, you're going to start to see areas where you're wasting money. You're also going to start to see areas where you're investing part of your money and you're starting to see a positive return. And maybe you should focus more time on investing in projects like the ones that are giving you a positive return on investment. And so this is one of the things that I wanted to talk about today specifically. And I just want to share a second nugget for you guys that I've seen many times as you're measuring these things. There's a principle called velocity. I'm sure you guys have probably learned about this in science or in math class when you're in high school, but it's almost this principle that's rests in the earth, where we can see, like, the rich get richer, right? The poor get poorer. There's a specific dynamic of increase or decrease. And basically, when an object is like in this particular motion, whether it's a upward motion or a downward motion, unless something is going to stop that motion, it's going to continue in that same pattern, and usually it's going to increase in the speed. And so one thing that we can do on a practical sense is increase the number of times that we invest, right? There are apps out there right now where every time you spend money on your debit card, it can take the change that you have left over, right? So let's say you spend $6.38, right? It could take that remaining 62 cents that you spent, and it could go ahead and invest it into the market for you, right? And so every time you spend money, essentially you're investing money into the market. And so this is some practical thing that you can do to increase the velocity of how many times you're actually investing in things, right? So we can increase velocity that way. We can also increase velocity by the allotment of what we're investing, right? So if we're starting to invest in cryptocurrencies, if we're starting to invest in stocks, if we're starting to invest in our own personal brand, then we can look at the amount of money that we're investing, right? And then decide, every single time that I get paid, right, you're going to set aside funds for your tithes. You're going to set aside funds for your offering. You're going to set aside funds for your charitable giving. But then you also want to make sure that you're setting aside funds to actually put back to earn you more money, right? Because one of the things that the Bible tells us, that the rich will rule over the poor. And so one of the things that we just want to make sure that we never end up is being in that category of poor, is we have to do something different. We have to start educating ourselves on how to break out of this box. And so I pray that this video bless you guys in some type of way. Do me a favor, if you like these wealth transfer types of videos, go ahead and like the video, share the video with somebody else who needs encouragement on today of what practically they can do today to start earning more money. God bless you guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.